What's going on, guys? My name is Joe. This is the Duel Factory, and this last weekend, but not this current one, I went to a regional in St. Peters, Missouri, and I decided to play the Tri-Brigade strategy. In my strategy, I decided as one of the supplemental engines, because you can always play with Rescue Cat, you can always play with the birds, but I decided to play the Ancient Warriors just because I thought those cards are better in the hand traps, and they also they play better going second. I started off really well. I was 3-1, so X1, and then I proceeded to lose, draw, lose, so I ended up finishing X3-1, and it's not how I wanted to perform, but I don't feel like I played poorly. The 2 of the 3 matches that I lost because I opened all hand traps and no engine, so I don't think that's any fault of my own. And I really like this deck, so I wanted to go ahead and show it with you guys. And then also, I will be posting in the description below a link. I believe it's pronounced Yashan, but he varies this deck a lot. In his most previous video that he showed, actually gave me a lot of pointers of stuff I can actually play going forward with this deck. And he has a more up-to-date profile than mine, I would like to think. So I'll also link his video in the description below, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what I played for St. Peters. So to start with the main deck, I'll start with the Tri-Monsters. At this point, everyone should know what they do, but you play 3 Fractal, 3 Nerval, 3 Kit, and then 2 Karos. Note, I stated that I'm not playing Rescue Cat in this build, so that's why I decided to only play 2, but I think if we're playing the Rescue Cat build, you should be playing 3, honestly, just because you want monsters to be able to summon off the cat. And I might bump it up to 3 anyway, simply because I think it's the best extender. And then the engine I opted to play was the Ancient Warrior card. So we play 3 copies of Sun Mu. There's a couple of reasons I decided to play the Ancient Warrior cards. One, Sun Mu, more or less, is one of the best cards to play with Nerval and Kit. So I wanted to be able to maximize being able to activate and resolve those effects. The Ancient Warrior cards themselves are actually very good going second because a lot of people don't know. But Master of Sun Moon, whenever an Ancient Warrior monster effect is activated, it can target 1 card on the field and bounce into the hand. So it's really good going second. So when you activate this card, you have another effect to activate to help break a board. And 3, I think the Ancient Warrior monsters themselves play better in the hand traps, such as Rescue Cat loses to an Ash Blossom, the birds kind of lose the drone, and so on and so forth. And these cards, they also leave a body on the board, and they also let you make Ancient Dragon Lords naturally, or sorry, double Dragon Lords naturally, which also adds another card in your hand for a Karos discard. So that's why I think this engine is a little bit better currently. And then I play the 1 copy of Ingenious Sun Cow, or however you pronounce his name, but he's basically there to search, summon off of it, and then you can get your play started. And then onto the actual hand traps themselves. Another reason I liked playing this deck is because it can play a lot of main deck hand traps. So we play 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 3 copies of Nib, 3 copies of Veiler, and then for the tech choices, I played 2 copies of Ogre because I thought Adventure would be everywhere, and I played a lot of Adventure decks, and this card was really good against them. And then I also was playing the 1 of DD Crow because it is searchable in this deck. And there were a couple times I did search it because I did play against 2 Despia matchups. And being able to search against that deck's really good. I also played Impermanence, but I left that for the trap portion of the deck profile. And then on to the spells for consistency. Another reason to play the deck is I played 3 copies of Prosperity, 2 copies of Tenki, and then for more going second cards, I played 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet, which this card was actually really good because another reason to play this card, because like the Ancient Warriors, this card also works very well with Nerval and Kit. So there's another reason to play it. And then the 1 copy of Called by the Grave, because it's more or less the god card of this format. And then 3 more hand traps. We played 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. And then the final card is 1 Tri-Brigade Revolt. Card is insane. And that was the main deck. That's 40 cards. I will go ahead and show you my extra that I played, which I played the 1 copy of Almirage for when all else fails. You need it to be able to play. Another reason to play the Ancient Warriors cards is you can actually play 2 copies of Double Dragon Lords. 1, you can play 2 because you can naturally make it, and you can activate the secondary effect where you can add an Ancient Warrior monster from deck to hand, which means I can add a copy of Sun Mu for, again, a free discard for cards like Karos. 3, it's one of the best ways to deal with an opposing Mirror Jade without activating its graveyard effect, so that's why I ended up playing it. I played 1 Bear Broom. I've never needed more than 1. 2 Farrajet. Sometimes the second one gets banished off Prosperity, or sometimes you go through 2 in a game. You never know. 1 Doom Eagle. Card's really good. 1 Rugal, essentially just a name. And then I played 2 copies of Omen. I never needed the third in games that even that went past like turn 2 or 3. I never saw myself needing the third, so we're fine there. And then the other link 4s are Access Code and Appaloosa. And then another reason to also play the Ancient Warrior cards, where you could play the Zoo cards if you wanted, but you can actually make a 4 material Zeus. And it's one of them. And like I said, the Ancient Warrior cards are already very good going second, but being able to put the opposing threat of a Zeus on your board puts a lot of pressure. Like, what is it? I overlaid for Chalk and 9, I don't know, 5, 6 times, and it forced my opponent to deal with it, which allowed me to crack his board way easier than if I didn't have it. So that's another like positive to play with the Ancient Warrior cards, where you can make the argument that the birds can also do that, which is true. The birds can do that, and they do work well with the deck. I just think Sun Mu itself works particularly better with not only Kit, but it also has the same level of flexibility as Nerval does with the bird cards, and that's why I decided to play it. And then since this was a regional deck profile, I will also show you my side deck, which was also another contributing factor as why I played the strategy. So for this side deck, we play 3 copies of Droll. I think it's really good, this format, and it's good against specific matchups, but there are other decks that it's also not very good against, so that's why I didn't main deck it. We play 2 copies of Token Collector. This was really good against the adventure decks, but I only ever saw it once or twice, but most of the times it was very high impact. I also didn't play any Sword Soul, that was a weird part too. And then I also play 3 copies of Lightning Storm for back row removal, just because it's one of the hardest things that this deck has to deal with, because a lot of your deck thrives on one-on-one interactions, but if you're playing against decks that play multiple back row like Zeus and stuff like that, that's where you tend to like struggle. So being able to have mass removal versus one-on-one removal makes a big difference, and for that same reason I also play the 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. And then the biggest reason to play this deck is you can actually play one of the best floodgates in the game in your side, and there can be only one. I am not particularly a fan of floodgates. However, when a floodgate is as powerful, it has to be warranted, and you also have to take into consideration, and your deck, although does not play optimally, it plays comfortably under there can be only one, so that's why I really like it. And then the 3 copies of Anti-Spell Fragrance for all the power spell decks. And that was my deck profile for the St. Peter's Regional of my Tri-Brigade list that I played last weekend. I don't know if I'm going to continue playing this deck in competitive events and stuff like that, just because I think if I was going to play this, maybe Sword Soul is just a better pick. But I am comfortable with this deck, and I do like the interactions. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And then I will also be posting stuff from the new Legendary Duelists of the Deep side set, because I really actually like the Mako Tsunami cards a lot, especially the Leviathan card. I think that card's insane. But again, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.